As any American Horror Story fan knows, this past Wednesday was the season 2 finale. I'll admit I was a little bit worried that they wouldn't wrap up all the loose ends, but I was very glad that they did, just like they did in season 1. I really enjoyed season 1, mostly because of how logical it was, but it seemed like it was somewhat stereotypical for a horror movie slash TV show. I mean, there are tons of things in the horror genre that have to do with ghosts, and AHS is the top of them all, but still. When I found out that AHS season 2 was going to be completely unrelated to season 1, I got really excited. Because who does that? And when I found out that it was going to take place in an insane asylum in the past, I got super excited, because that aspect of horror is not done as much as ghosts. But season 2 is way more than just an asylum for the criminally insane. American Horror Story season 2 is about evil, and evil of every kind. It's beyond the superficial aliens and demons, which could certainly be put in the evil category. But this season is more about the different levels of human evil. For example, you have Dr. Arthur Arden. Okay, here come the spoilers. Dr. Arthur Arden is extremely insane in the membrane. Well, technically he's lucid and completely in control of himself. However, he commits atrocities and has no feeling over them besides apathy. But people respect him, and that's mostly because of his doctorate, the way he holds himself, and the fact that they have no idea what's going on. Some people suspect, or know, that he's mutilating people and then leaving them out for little schoolchildren to find, but they won't do anything about it because they're afraid that it'll get in their way of their goals. He's one of the most insane and dangerous people at Briarcliff, and he's not even a patient. Then you've got Sister Jude, a well-meaning but demented nun, or at least towards the beginning. She honestly thinks that beating people up will help them become sane. She locks a reporter named Lana up at Briarcliff by forcing Lana's gay lover to sign a paper or Jude would tell everyone about their relationship, which would destroy them both. Jude makes Lana go through shock therapy to make her forget things. Clearly, she does not have pure motives. She's a certain kind of human evil. Not nearly as bad as Dr. Auden, but I truly don't think people would normally do such horrible things. Then again, this show takes place in the early 1960s, and times were different. But I'm sure these weren't commonplace events. Last but not least of my examples is good old Dr. Thredson. I'm pretty sure that in this show, if your title is Doctor, you might be insane. This guy is a horse of a different color. I foolishly fell for him like Lana did. I should have been able to see right through him, but I didn't. I was hopeful that Lana would be saved. But in reality, Dr. Thredson was far from a godsend. He says he'll get her out, but not before he does some aversion therapy to her in order to de-gayify her. He eventually gets her out of Briarcliff and right into his creepy serial killer basement. He tortures and rapes her and ends up right back in Briarcliff. Dr. Thredson is a human evil different than Dr. Auden. They have different motives for what they do. Dr. Auden thinks that he's doing things for science. Dr. Thredson is doing it to satisfy his urges. Both unspeakable human evil, but different. Things in the horror genre tend to stick to one kind of monster and stick to one kind of way to scare you, like gore, suspense, etc. And they tend to revolve around one fear, like being in somewhere that's pitch black and then your friends go missing and then they show up and you're all happy, but then you see that their head is gone. And the thing with AHS is that it's so much bigger than that. Probably because it's more like a miniseries, so they have a lot more time. But still, they deal with abandonment, like Lana and her girlfriend. They deal with the fear of insanity, both of the people around you who are insane, but also the idea that you could be insane. AHS deals with the classic fear of the unknown, death, rape, memory loss, betrayal, and mutilation. And beyond mental and physical fears, they deal with social fears. The fear that if someone finds out you're gay, you and your significant other's lives are ruined. The fear that if your wife is black and you're white, that someone could kill you for it. The fear that ambition and fame could get in the way of you doing the right thing. This show is deep, and that's why I love it. It's not superficial. This is not a show about a serial killer named Bloodyface who goes around killing women. Yes, that's scary, but this takes the human side of those fears. And the human side of those fears actually makes things more disturbing. It makes you think and wonder and not just wince and wet yourself. I also thought it was really interesting on how the season progressed. They killed off major characters relatively early in the season, and I had a really hard time trying to figure out where they were going to go with the show. And at the third to the last episode, I was really confused. I was like, what are they going to do with an extra hour and a half of screen time? But they managed to use that time extremely wisely, and they used that time to go beyond my wildest imagination. And the way that this show looks and is shot is remarkable. They tend to use weird camera motions and camera angles, but it adds to the show. Sometimes I get a little bit distracted because I think more about the camera and how they're doing that and how cool it looks, as opposed to what's actually going on the screen, but I can deal with it. The costumes are great, the scenery is great, everything is great about the show. But I think the best thing about this season was probably the Boston accents. I've only been to Boston once, and that was when I was like 2, so I don't really remember it. But these guys, these actors do a really good job with their Boston accents. So I know I haven't made videos in a long time, and that's primarily because my USB ports on my old laptop stopped working like a half a year ago. But they haven't been working in a very long time. And then for Christmas, I got a new laptop with USB ports that worked. Imagine that. And so now I'm going to try to do more videos. And my phone went off. And I know I always say that, especially like 2 years ago, I said that a lot. But I'm going to really try. And if you have any suggestions for anything that I should do, just let me know, and I'll probably get around to it in like 50 years. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Why are you still watching this? Why am I still recording? I don't know.